Street photography is hands down my favorite form of photography. Exploring a city and seeing things you might not take the time to notice or see when you're normally just going throughout your day is super exciting to me. It's amazing how you can just walk the same streets and always find something new to shoot every time. If you're interested in getting started or you're just curious on what I use, then today we're going to go over the gear that I use for my street photography sessions. Let's get into it. Pew! So I like to keep it very simple. As you can see, I have this really small table and 4 pieces of gear. That's it. I keep it pretty simple. I like my photography gear like I like my women. Uncomplicated. First up, the camera I'm using. It's a Sony a7 III. Hands down, my favorite camera body I've ever used. It's great for street because it takes incredible photos. I don't have any kind of technical issues. I mean, it's just a solid, well-built camera. Before I started using the a7 III, I was using the Canon 90D, which is actually what I'm filming this on right now. So those are the 2 bodies that I was using. Now let's talk about lenses. So before I switched to the setup I have now, I was using the Canon 90D as I mentioned, and the lens I was using the most was a 50mm prime. A lot of people call it the Nifty 50. I hate that name, but that's what a lot of people called it. And it's a great lens. It's extremely affordable and it took great pictures. Whenever I switched over to Sony, I picked up this bad boy, Sigma 24-70 f2.8. This is easily the best lens I've ever used. The reason that I went with the Sigma is because for street photography, it really has almost the 3 most popular focal lengths for street photography in one lens. The unofficial most popular focal points are 35mm, 50mm, and 85mm. Now this thing only goes to 70, but to me, it's close enough. I love primes, and a lot of people swear by primes, but for me, the zooms are too convenient, and they really produce great results. For me, honestly, I really can't notice that much of a difference between the two, so it's what I currently shoot all of my street sessions on is the Sigma 24-70. Another thing that I thought about when doing street is it would be a colossal pain in the ass to be switching prime lens focal lengths while out and about shooting, because street photography is so run and gun and so all over the place that who wants to stop, put their camera down, switch lenses, pick it back up? Ugh. This thing does the job. I love it, and it is what stays on my camera right now for all of my street sessions. I almost forgot to mention this thing. It's a ND filter that is super crucial whenever you are shooting bright lit, harsh kind of lighting conditions. This really helps just kind of take some of that harshness off your lens, especially if you're doing street during the day. This thing is a must. The next thing you're going to need is some comfortable ass shoes. Why? Because it's street photography. You're going to be walking around. You're going to be going all over the place. Get some comfortable shoes that you don't mind walking in. These are some Adidas that I have. I call them my Pablos because they look like Pablo Escobar shoes. But I wear my Pablos all the time when I'm doing street photography. Now, as far as the settings on my camera when I'm running around shooting street, I like to get a few practice shots, kind of get my rhythm going, if you would say, and kind of dial in the settings from there. Because once I'm out and about and going, I don't like to mess with them too much. I'm almost always on manual, and at first I will kind of gauge my ISO level and get that kind of set and fine-tuned, and then I'll really leave it alone for the rest of the street shoot. For aperture and shutter speed, the cool thing about the a7 III is it's got these 2 dials, one on the front right here and then one back here, to easily adjust your aperture and shutter speed as you need, so it makes it super convenient when you're shooting in manual. I'll rarely have to adjust ISO, since the conditions tend to stay pretty consistent on a street shoot unless you're shooting for like a super long time or like all day or something crazy. Or if you go from inside to outside, a couple of different times, you may have to adjust it from there. I know some photographers use Aperture Priority mode on their cameras for street sessions, which works as well, but I'm bougie and I always like to use manual. For my point of view videos, this is the setup I'm using to get that footage. I'm using a GoPro Hero 8. I got the 8 instead of the 9 because to me it's basically the same minus a few bells and whistles that I don't use. So I saved a little money and got the Hero 8 Black. Then I strap it to my chest using this thing. Oops. This is just some chest strap I got off Amazon. Probably an off-brand or something. It was like 11 bucks, but it does the job really well. This is the screw to screw in the GoPro, but and then you basically just put that on and strap it to your chest for point of view. On the GoPro, I use 4K, 30 frames per second, and I use the neutral profile. That way I've got a little more flexibility whenever I go to color grade it or color correct it. Honestly, that is it. It's very simple. I like to keep it simple. I don't like to bring a ton of gear when I go on street shoots because I like just absorbing everything in around me. I don't have to worry too much about my gear once I get it set and going. Street photography is super easy to start doing. I don't really plan anything other than maybe a location or a part of town I want to park my car and get out and start walking at. So it's pretty easy to just pick up your camera, go to a spot, and just start exploring what's around you and taking pictures. This is the stuff that I use. I keep it very simple, but by no means do you have to abide by mine or anybody else's rules or process when you're out doing photography. So that's it. Let me know in the comments below what you guys are using if you're out doing street photography or whatnot. I'm a nerd. I like to talk about camera gear, so let me know in the comments below. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate everybody that already has. Hit that bell so you get notified whenever I put up new videos, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.